Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Friday, March 17th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. One of the police officers killed in the line of duty in Edmonton was from Coldbrook, Nova Scotia. 35-year-old Travis Jordan, who grew up in Kings County, and 30-year-old Constable Brett Ryan were killed just after midnight on Thursday morning while responding to a domestic violence call in Edmonton's Inglewood neighborhood. Edmonton police say they went inside the building, approached the suite, and were attacked by a young suspect. They later died in hospital. Condolences are pouring in for the officers and in Nova Scotia, particularly for Jordan, who grew up here. Yesterday afternoon, a line of RCMP, Kentville Police Service, and Canadian Military Police drove slowly past the family's home in Coldbrook. Jordan's sister, Sheena, wrote a heart-wrenching post on her Facebook about her baby brother, reading in part, "My brother had a calling that came to him at a very, very young age. He talked about being a police officer since the day he could talk." She goes on to say that her only brother was her hero and that the family will never stop sharing memories of him. Her post ends, quote, "There's no way heaven needed him more than we did." Emotions ran high during the sentencing of the Yarmouth man convicted of second-degree murder in the September 2020 death of 26-year-old Colton Cook. Yesterday, soon-to-be 6-year-old Robert Rogers was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole for 19 years. The victim's mother delivered a heartbreaking victim impact statement where she told the court she can't stop thinking about her son's final moments and that she hears him cry out in her nightmares. SaltWire's Tina Camo has that story.
It was another emotional day inside a Yarmouth courtroom on the afternoon of March 16th, as a Yarmouth man was sentenced for his role in the September 2020 murder of 26-year-old Yarmouth County resident Colton Cook. Robert Rogers was convicted of second-degree murder at the conclusion of a 3-week jury trial in January. The charge carries an automatic sentence of life imprisonment. The outstanding issue to be determined at his sentencing was how long Rogers will have to wait before being allowed to apply for parole consideration. The law says the minimum period of parole ineligibility is 10 years. The maximum wait can be no longer than 25 years. The Crown argued for a parole ineligibility period of 19 to 20 years, while the defense sought a wait time of 12 years. Justice Pierre Muse ruled that Rogers, who will soon be 60, will have to wait 19 years before being able to seek parole consideration. Muse also noted in court that just because a person applies for parole, it doesn't mean it gets granted. Justice Muse cited the brutality of Cook's murder in his decision. Also of concern to the court was Rogers' history of violence, which includes a conviction for attempted murder. The victim in that case was Rogers' father. Rogers also received the 5-year maximum sentence on a conviction of indignity to the remains of Colton Cook. Stacey Cook, Colton Cook's mother, said she was satisfied with the sentencing outcome, saying she feels that justice has been served. She spoke about the devastation of finding out how much her son Colton suffered in his final moments when he was shot and then relentlessly stabbed. There has never been a reason offered for why her son was murdered. His mother says she can't let go of the thought of him dying, surrounded by so much hate and evil. This is Tina Camo, reporting for SaltWire Network in Yarmouth.
Well, today is St. Patrick's Day, and here are some sights and sounds from Dirty Nellies this morning. The day started bright and early with a packed crowd. Irish dancers from the Green School of Dance performed in front of a sea of green inside the pub, backed up by local fiddlers, filling the room with Celtic tunes. It's the first time since the pandemic began that restrictions have been lifted, allowing far more people to pack the bars than last year. At the Old Triangle yesterday, staff were bracing for the biggest day of the year.
Well, last year, during COVID that was still in existence, we had to apply certain regulations. People had to wear masks when they came in. They couldn't move about freely without wearing a mask, and there really wasn't much intermingling with people.
Nellies will be open for 19 hours straight and will have 15 hours of live entertainment today. Starting today, adults at highest risk of severe illness due to COVID-19 are able to get another dose of vaccine. The province has accepted a recommendation by the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, or NACI, for a spring booster dose. It suggested these people get another vaccine if their last dose was more than 6 months ago. Adults 80 or older, living in long-term care or other senior homes, and adults who are moderately to severely immunocompromised. The province says these groups, especially those who haven't yet had a COVID-19 vaccine, can consider a spring dose. 65 to 79-year-olds, people of African descent 50 to 79, and First Nations people 50 to 79. The spring dose will be available until June 30th. Public Health says they anticipate a fall vaccine program as well. The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League is expected to ban fighting starting with the 2023-24 season. According to a league spokesperson, the QMJHL is planning to have a rule in place that will make it clear that fighting is no longer part of the game. The punishment for fighting has not yet been decided, but the rule is expected to be ratified by the Board of Governors at their next annual meeting in June. This follows other rule changes by the OHL and WHL to decrease fighting. It's time now for another edition of Wine of the Week with SaltWire sommelier Mark DeWolf. If you're looking for a little libation inspiration for this evening's St. Patrick's Day celebrations, Mark has a recommendation for you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. So this week's Wine of the Week isn't a wine at all, it's beer. You know, you could go out and enjoy a pint of Guinness. Truly it is a lovely day to enjoy Guinness. But if you wanted to have a stout, but want to keep it local, why not try one of our local craft breweries like this one, Serial Killer Oatmeal Stout from Big Spruce in Cape Breton. You know, it's a great brewery. They're one of the only on-farm craft microbreweries in the country, and it's a great style. They add oat flakes, which gives this a rich creaminess and lovely flavor and texture to the stout. All that chocolatey notes you expect, and the perfect pairing to a bowl of hearty Irish stew.
And for more beer and wine tips, recipes, and interviews with local food and drink personalities, go to the Wine and Dine section of SaltWire.com. It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Chief Greg Jones with Fire Services Association about a funding announcement for volunteer and First Nations fire departments and ground search and rescue teams.
Well, Chief, this $10,000 grant, second year in a row for it. And I don't know, is the government setting up an expectation that this is going to happen every year now?
That is unclear. That'll be a good conversation to have with government. One thing I will say, though, and one thing that's been a bonus for the volunteer service and ground search and rescue and First Nations, it gives us the opportunity to take away that $10,000 burden this year. I know there's many departments out there in our province that they're still struggling coming out of COVID. They're still trying to make things work. And even with COVID still floating around, it does still affect the fire service at the end of the day. So I don't know what the full intent would be, but I'm worried about the here and now. And the here and now is that departments will have $10,000 to help them this year.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of SaltWire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
What a stretch it's been for 16-year-old goaltender Raya Stewart. Just a couple of weeks ago, she backstopped Team Nova Scotia to a fantastic silver medal performance at the Canada Games. Raya, congratulations on that silver medal. It's been about 2 weeks. Has it sunken in? And when you look back, what do you think about?
Yeah, the whole experience was definitely crazy. It's probably sinking in a little bit now. I don't know how long it'll take to fully wrap my head around it. I guess since we all, as a group, we made history, but it was definitely an incredible experience.
You did make history, the first medal ever for a female team at the Canada Games for Nova Scotia. What was that moment like when you're getting your medals and you realize that, gosh, we just made history?
Yeah, definitely as a group, we went into the tournament, expecting a medal. We knew as a group we were good enough to place high. So I think we proved to a lot of different teams we aren't just a small province, and it was definitely a really cool experience.
Raya Stewart, what a pleasure it's been to speak with you. Congratulations on the success you've had this year, and certainly on that silver medal with Team Nova Scotia Canada Games.
Thank you.
In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now. To see what's coming up in the weekend forecast, we're going to check in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Happy Friday, Kate, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Well, we did have one system departing and another approaching, so that did make for a mainly cloudy day in the HRM. Now, that approaching system will be bringing some unsettled weather this weekend. This evening, we'll have partly cloudy skies, and overnight it becomes cloudy. We'll have a chance of showers, flurries, and a risk of freezing rain. The temperature this evening will be near the freezing mark, but we wake up near 3 degrees on Saturday morning with showers or drizzle. Mainly cloudy on Saturday afternoon, still holding on to that chance of showers or drizzle, and it's going to be a mild day, especially for this time of year, up to 10 degrees for the high. Now, a cold front will be moving through, so Sunday will be colder, 4 degrees for the high, but a mix of sun and cloud, still holding on though to a chance of showers or flurries. And worth noting that it will become windy on Sunday, west winds of 30 to 60 kilometers per hour are forecast. So not a perfect weekend, which, by the way, is the final weekend of winter, but certainly nice to have a bit of sunshine in that forecast. Spring arrives on Monday, and it's looking fairly nice with lots of sunshine in the forecast. However, it will still be windy on Monday. Have a great weekend. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to SaltWire.com. And you can find us on social media. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here Monday.